We're in a potentially transitional period in the economy and in the market. What are you thinking?
So steadily on the multifamily side, normally it would be minimum of 75 units, but here in Texas, since it's now my backyard, the minimum will go 40 units, and have shifted from more, I would say 1970s built, so D to C class type properties and B minus to B locations, to more 1980s later built or later built that are also in B locations. So more pushing to the suburbs.
How is Houston different than the Midwest? Are they very comparable, or is it a different play?
Entirely different play in Houston is you're able to get the best of both worlds. So the appreciation and also the cash flow, but the cash flow is not as high as you would get in the Midwest. But with the Midwest, you're not able to get as high as the appreciation. Looking at a price per door, let's say $55,000 per door, and then average rents on that would be anywhere between about $750 to $800. That rule of thumb just does not work in Houston, not even close.
California and LA specifically, it's probably a little bit similar to Houston. I always told everybody I could find a deal in LA any day of the week. Give me an hour, 2 hours, and I'll find something that's distressed mom and pop and that I could add value, and I'd buy it. My strategy from the beginning was always positioning myself in up and coming trendy pockets where a lot of people were moving to, and there would be some hot neighborhood. So I would go to the outskirts where the rents were a little more affordable, but you knew you were going to be impacted by the growth of that submarket. I was looking for smart investments. What are you doing right now, given what's happening?
So have been selling over the years, and one of the deals that I'm working on, which is a 156 unit that bought 2 years ago, and it actually received $1 million more than on the 5-year projection. But unfortunately, during being under contract, one of the buildings experienced a fire. Now going through the insurance claim and seeing what we're able to get from that, and then go back to the buyer to negotiate. So we'll have to see how things end up panning out.
How do you build your systems to not make it a huge suck of your time?
When I initially started this, so it was in single family, had 150 or so, and then transitioned to multifamily. One was going through the broker's route. So this was in 2017, and things really started to heat up in the market and was just getting outbid, and then took a step back and said, well, why not beat the brokers to the punch and get the deal before it actually gets listed? The concept came, okay, let's go now to direct. Ended up hiring people because I was in the system, so built the system on the go, and then just started putting people to do all the outreach to these owners. When someone raises their hand, there's some form of motivation. That's when the appointment gets set for me to then move it from there.
I think we're seeing some softening in pricing. And yeah, it's taken a while. It didn't happen right away. I guess people who had to sell, sellers who had to sell, just realized that they had two choices: have their property sit on the market for 6 months with no activity, or get it sold. And if they had any kind of motivation, they would start to give on price. You said more or less you put your pencil down on acquisitions for the time being?
Yeah. There's all these different assets. Even within the assets, you've got D class, you got C class, you got B class, you got A class, and then you've got LA market, you've got Houston, Texas. So, but what I've been seeing or hearing overall from agents, as an example, is there has been a softening from the single family side, that formerly they would go to their buyers and say, hey, you've got to offer over listing, and then it would be multiple. But now properties are starting to sit a little bit longer, and there is not as much demand as there formerly was. On the commercial multifamily side, it's been hit or miss from what I've heard from investors. Some have said, yeah, the demand is still there, while others have gotten BOVs, so brokered opinion of value, and it wasn't what they wanted. But that could have been because their expectations are so high still, but haven't came down within reason. So I've seen some softening in other areas. In other areas, there's still quite a bit of demand.
Where we are today was caused by 2008. It's been a while since I thought about this, but in the early 2000s, the administration deregulated banks. That led to banks being free to kind of do whatever they wanted. There was almost no regulations. People were able to buy houses, get loans on houses that were 90% leverage with stated income. You didn't have to provide any proof of income. It was so severe that it took down Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, and it plunged us all into this brutal economy.
I was a laborer and a construction worker during that. Well, I was a laborer at that time. I didn't have the actual experience as an operator and investing and seeing it from that angle. I study history, and it's good to hear from others that actually saw it and was able to get those different perspectives and was able to experience it and go through it, because you've got that feeling from people and saying, and you're able to hear that and say, okay, I'm starting to get that same sentiment again.
I don't see real trouble brewing in the multifamily market if you're in the multifamily market.
Unless a black swan event happens that just comes out of nowhere. Example is the rent moratorium. No one saw that coming. So you've got some investors that ended up bleeding through that. And then now those properties may be up for sale. But that's what I would only see is I'm in the same boat as you, is that, yeah, multifamily will continue to sustain, because with inflation going up, rents go up with that as well, which increase still steadily the value of the asset. But if some random black swan event comes that could affect that, that's where I see it really getting affected.
Sure. Interest rates where they are now is just making it really difficult. The interest rates, they stay as high as they are. It will force the prices to soften, but I don't know that we'll have waves of foreclosures the way we did.
What we were just going into is a prime example of how the world works, that people are going to do what's in their best interest. And many times their best interest may not be in the best interest of either yourself or others. Let's say you're in the room with the president, Mark, and they say that they're going to put sanctions on $1 million into a medical company, so stocks. But the president says he's going to put sanctions that could affect those investment that you have, and it could potentially drop by 30, 40%. In that case, what would you do with that investment?
Wouldn't the thing be to consider selling?
Exactly. Well, you, my friend, just committed insider trading. So it's just understanding things such as that, and then
The
also
ethics of it.
Yeah, exactly. And just asking questions about how the world works from that, instead of how I believe it should be, how it actually is.
What's a trait you possess that has served you best, both in real estate and in life?
The ability to just figure things out. And that is having more of a growth mindset, that if there's a challenge or a problem in front of me, instead of, whoa, it's me, blaming someone else, I'll just say, okay, well, there's a challenge. Now what are you going to do about it? You got to figure out a way. Either I will adapt and pick up the necessary skills to solve the problem or challenge, or find someone to help with it, or they would solve it all together.
What's a trait that you think holds you back?
The action taking, which is a double-edged sword.
What's the daily habit that brings you the most benefit?
Working out consistently. So that's anywhere between 5 to 6 days a week. Also on top of that is just taking some time out today to just think.
If you were to pass on some advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I would just tell myself it's okay. The uncertainties and everything that you're experiencing, as long as you keep going and have faith, you'll be completely fine. And I believe during that time I don't know if myself would have listened to me today. I would just say is that, hey, Sterling, keep doing what you're doing. As long as you keep putting in the work day in and day out, it will pay itself off, and just consistently do that over time.
Finally, where can listeners reach out to you?
You can visit sterlingwhiteofficial.com. One more time, that is sterlingwhiteofficial.com is a way to reach out to me. Or also, if you're on Instagram, it's the same, Sterling White Official. Here at any point to point you in the right direction with any questions that you happen to have, is just share my personal experience and hope that you're able to get value from this.
All right, thanks, Sterling.